Welcome back to the Lone Road iRacers podcast. I'm your host, Guy Robertson, and today we're tackling something every iRacer goes through at some point, and maybe even more than once: iRating loss, where it's totally been tanked. And let's be real, it hits hard, it feels personal, but it doesn't have to define us. In this episode, we'll dive deep into the emotional and psychological effects of losing iRating, how it affects our mindset and confidence, and most importantly, what we can do to climb out of that rut and get back to enjoying the sim once again. Plus, we're going to explore how physical fitness and diet play a bigger role in this journey than you might expect. And our second topic, we're going to look at what an iRacer could do in practice to improve also. So there are two topics today. This is going to be a blast. Let's get into it. So some of you are probably wondering why this specific topic. Well, me personally, I checked my stats from the beginning of this season. We're only a few weeks into it really, and I'm, for the Formula license, minus over 400 IR so far for the season. So I kind of reflected a little bit, being this is my fourth year as an iRacer, how that would have affected me in the past. At the moment, it's affecting me in a small way because I like to improve each season, but at the moment, clearly that's not happening. But in the past, I think that I would let it bother me a lot more, and that's what generated the idea of this podcast, folks. So hope you all get something out of it, whether you're listening or you're viewing on YouTube as well. Let's begin by understanding what makes iRating loss such a gut punch. On the surface, iRating is just a number that reflects your performance over time, right? But in practice, it carries so much more weight. It represents growth, status, skill level, and for some of us, even validation. It's something we all check religiously after races. We set goals around it, and I personally do. We even compare ourselves to others based on it. Friends, colleagues, competitors in our specific iRacing leagues. When you lose iRating, it's easy to feel like your progress has been erased. That can trigger some really strong emotional responses. Frustration, anger, anxiety, or even a bit of shame. You start questioning yourself, am I actually good at this? Was I just lucky before? These thoughts creep in quietly, and before you know it, they mess with your focus, your confidence, and even your enjoyment of the sim. There's also a social pressure element. When you're active in iRacing communities, leagues, or even among friends, your iRating is like a badge. When it drops, it can feel like everyone's watching your performance slide, even if they aren't really. That perceived judgment adds to the psychological weight, making every poor finish feel like a public failure. The reality is you're not alone in feeling like this. iRating loss is incredibly common, and the emotional reactions it stirs up are completely valid and normal. Recognising this is the first step in changing how all iRacers can handle it. And here's the deeper part. iRacing isn't just about competition. For many of us, it's tied to identity. We invest hours and hours of learning, practicing, and racing. So when our iRating falls, it feels like a blow to our identity, not just a number dropping on a screen. The important thing to remember is the growth often hides in these struggles. It's not about avoiding them, but learning how to move through them stronger. So we're going to look at the psychological cycle of a rut now. Now that we know why iRacing loss hits us so hard, let's talk about what often follows, the psychological rut. It's not just one or two bad races, it's a cycle that feeds itself if you're not careful. Here's how it usually plays out. You've had a race. Maybe you got wrecked. Maybe you made a mistake, or maybe you were just off the pace. That leads to frustration. In the next race, you're trying to make up for it, but you start overdriving. You're pushing too hard, trying to gain iRating back all at once. That pressure creates more mistakes, more incidents, yada yada yada, and you just get another bad finish. With each bad result, your confidence erodes. You start second guessing every braking point, even more in traffic. Fear creeps in. You start racing not to lose rather than not to win. Then tentative driving style makes you slow and vulnerable, leading to more frustration, and around you go. It's a toxic cycle, folks, and if it goes unchecked, it can start to affect more than just your races. You might avoid even jumping into sessions altogether, and none of us want that. You may begin to dread races instead of looking forward to them. Your self-worth as a sim racer gets tied up in this number that seems to be moving in only one direction, and we all know that's down. It can even seep into other areas of your life. You may notice yourself feeling less motivated, more irritable, or overly critical of yourself in situations that have nothing to do with iRacing. That's the power of a negative feedback loop. It grows if left unattended, and it will fester. But here's the truth. Everyone experiences this at some point. Even the very best iRacers in the world. The key is knowing when you're in it, acknowledging it, and taking proactive steps to change your mindset and habits before it becomes a long-term slump and could even move into a depression. So how do we break this cycle, listeners and viewers? If you're stuck in a rut, the good news is you can absolutely climb out of it. It takes a little intention, some mindset shifts, and a lot of patience. First, accept that slumps are normal. Everybody goes through it. Racing is like any competitive pursuit. You have good spells and you have bad ones. Think of losing streaks like bad weather. Annoying, but temporary. Just because you're struggling now doesn't mean you're declining as a driver. Secondly, separate your identity from your iRating. This one's huge. You are not your iRating. It's a metric that reflects a moment in time. A moving average of recent results. That's all it is. It does not define your potential or your worth as a racer. Now, say it all with me, folks. I'm a developing driver, not a failing one. Next, focus on process over outcome. Stop obsessing over the number. For your next few races, set goals like I'm going to finish with 0 incidents or I'll stay calm on lap 1. These process goals help you build the right habits, which in turn will naturally lead to better results. And it's all about positive mental thoughts. The fourth point is choose your battles wisely. If you're deep in a slump, maybe don't jump into the toughest combos or highest strength fields. Run some races in cars or tracks you love. Lower pressure environments can help you rebuild rhythm and confidence. Finally, don't underestimate the value of practice. AI races or time trials. They let you rebuild your muscle memory and racecraft without the stress of iRating on the line. You can work on specific skills, try different approaches, and reset your racing instincts in a risk-free environment. Remember, your struggles are not permanent, they are part of the learning process. Give yourself the grace to work through them methodically rather than emotionally. And the second topic today is all about practice for an iRacer. So stay tuned for that, and I'm sure you'll get some benefits from that topic as well. Something that often gets overlooked but shouldn't be when talking about mental ruts in iRacing is physical health. What do, folks? A lot of us, we come home from work or we have days off and we sit in the rig for hours and hours, enjoying the fun, hopefully, most of the time. But we forget that our bodies are then being lethargic. So we have to think about that as well. And as it's just said, your body and mind are deeply connected, and improving your physical well-being can dramatically boost your mental resistance, and that's what we want. Exercise, even in small amounts, can be a game changer. Activities like walking, jogging, cycling, or even simple stretching routines help regulate stress hormones and release endorphins, the brain's natural mood boosters. A quick 20 to 30 minute walk after a tough race session can clear your head, rest your emotions, and help you process frustration in a healthier way. Strength training, yoga, or any kind of physical activity also teaches patience and discipline, two qualities that translate beautifully to being an iRacer. Plus, regular movement helps with posture, reflexes, and physical endurance during long races. Building up your core strength, for example, can help with focus and comfort during endurance events. Now we're going to touch quickly on diet. The food you eat fuels your brain as much as your body. High sugar, high caffeine, and processed junk foods can lead to blood sugar crashes, mood swings, and brain fog. Not exactly what you need as an iRacer. You need to be sharp behind that virtual wheel. Focus on a balanced diet rich in whole foods, vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Staying hydrated is also crucial too. Dehydration alone can negatively impact focus and reaction times. A good rule: drink a glass of water before and after your races. Proper nutrition and hydration stabilize your mood, improve cognitive function, and enhance your reaction times. In other words, they make you a better iRacer, so why shouldn't we be doing it? It's all connected. A healthy body supports a healthy mind, which supports smart, confident iRacing. Even just 10% more focus or 10% more resilience can make a massive difference between a crash or a comeback. Now we're going to look at some real stories as we lead into final thoughts on this topic. So I'm going to share a few quick stories to drive this home. I know of a driver who had a peak iRating over 5,000. Then he hit a rough stretch, life distractions, overdriving, and a bit of bad luck dropped him to mid-3000s. It took him nearly 2 seasons to rebuild, but he did it by focusing on consistency and not chasing iRating like a lottery ticket. Another racer, a rookie in the MX5 series, saw their iRating plummet from 1800 to under 1000. They were ready to quit, but instead they set a simple goal: finish 5 clean races in a row. Their goal led to better racecraft, smarter decision making, and eventually climbing back above 1500 with a whole new level of confidence and skill. These stories aren't rare, folks. The path back from a slump is paved with patience, humility, and focus. You can get back there too. Everybody can do it. Remember, losing iRating doesn't mean you're getting worse. It just means you're not in that moment of growth. And growth isn't always linear. Take a moment to zoom out. Think about how far you've come since you first started iRacing. Every slump, every bad race, every frustrated moment is actually adding experience, resilience, and perspective to your journey. So the next time you feel like you're stuck, take a breath. Think about this podcast, folks. Rethink your approach. Race with intention, not desperation. Take care of your mind and your body. Surround yourself with supportive racers who remind you of why you fell in love with this sport in the first place. And above all, remember, the most important race you'll ever run is the one against your own doubts. Well, I really enjoyed putting that podcast and that episode together and this topic. I think it's really a positive way of looking at iRacing when you are struggling. You're in that season where the tracks don't meet what your favourites are or what you're good at, and you've got that bad luck syndrome as well. You're wearing that Why Me t-shirt, and I've got one. I should have it framed behind me on the wall. But this podcast and this topic is all about moving from that back into that strong mental mindset where you can progress and your iRating will start to grow once again, folks. So we'll have a quick break and we'll be right back for our second topic today, which is all about practice and how to improve using practice as an iRacer. So hope you enjoy that. Be right back, folks. Dre is the audible iRacer's companion. Want to improve your results or get more wins? Download Dre, the digital race engineer. Hit the link in the show notes for a 10% discount. Our second topic, as I've already said, is all about how to practice. If you really want to level up as an iRacer, to not just stop losing iRating, but to grow it steadily, it's time to talk about something critical. How to practice properly, folks. Not just more laps, but better laps. In this topic, we're going to dive into how to build a purposeful training regime that will make you faster, smarter, and way more consistent behind the wheel. And basically, that's where your gains will come from. Consistency. Let's be honest, most of us think practice means just jumping into a session and running lap after lap until we're bored and tired. The truth is, mindless hot lapping is a trap. Without focus, you're just reinforcing your bad habits. You're getting better at doing the wrong things. Real improvement comes from intentional practice. This means setting specific goals for each session. Are you working on better braking, improving race starts, learning how to defend, or even mastering a new track? Every lap should have a purpose. Without that, you're wasting your most precious resource, which is time. Think of practice like learning a musical instrument. You just wouldn't strum random notes for hours and hope to play a song. It'll never work. You'd practice chords, scales, rhythm. All those little pieces build up to its mastery. iRacing is the same. You need to break it down, isolate weaknesses and systemically improve. But when you practice correctly, even 30 minutes can be more valuable than the 3 hours of aimless driving. So, have I got you convinced? I don't know. Are you ready to practice, but practice in a smarter way? But how do you actually structure it? Think about your practice week like an athlete preparing for a game. Here's a simple framework we can all start with. Monday, track familiarization. Spend 30 to 45 minutes simply learning the track layout of an upcoming race or a race you're going to focus on that week. Focus on finding braking points, apexes and safe exits. No pushing, just smooth, clean laps. Tuesday, technique focus. Pick one element, braking zones, throttle application or corner entry. Do drills where you exaggerate and refine those skills. Wednesday, it's qualifying practice. Best short stints of 2 to 5 laps at maximum push pace. Reset after each run, focusing on learning how to extract one perfect lap. Thursday is a racecraft practice, folks. Join AI racers or casual multiplayer races to practice starts, overtakes, defensive lines and handling pressure. And then Friday, we're into full race simulation. Do a full length race run. Practice managing tyres, fuel, and your emotions. Saturday is review and adjust. Spend 30 minutes reviewing replays and telemetry. Where are you losing time? Where are you gaining it? Adjust your focus areas accordingly. And Sunday, it's rest or light practice. Take a break or do light driving with friends to keep it fun. By spreading your focus across different skills, you'll build a more complete racing skill set, not just raw speed. And we know iRacing is more than just raw speed. How many times do we see the fast person in P1 crash it off by the end of lap 2? They have no racecraft. You've got to have a whole suite of skills to develop and be consistent and gain in iRacing. One of the biggest mistakes iRacers make is over-practicing though. Endless marathon sessions can actually hurt your progress. Why, I hear you ask? Because fatigue sets in, mental sharpness declines, bad habits creep in when you're tired. The most elite sim racers in the world and even real-world drivers often limit practice to focus blocks of 30 to 60 minutes. In that time, they push hard, reflect deeply, and then step away before mistakes and frustrations kick in. Here's the tricks, folks. Set a kitchen timer or a phone alarm for 45 minutes. When it goes off, stop. Even if you feel like you could go longer or you've just done some excellent laps, still stop. This way you'll end every session still mentally sharp, still building confidence, and still hungry to improve next time. But what about data analysis and replays? Here's where most casual racers leave huge gains on the table, not reviewing their own driving. Watch your replays, especially on board. It's like holding a mirror up to your performance. You'll spot mistakes that you didn't even realise you were making live. Better yet, compare your lap times to the fastest driver in your session or to lap guides from YouTube or VRS, for example. Where are they braking? Where are they turning in? How much curb are they using? All those things you can look at. Even without telemetry tools, just watching replays critically can help you correct dozens of little mistakes. Think of it this way, 1 hour of review could save you 10 hours of bad practice. It's the fastest shortcut to getting faster, folks. You're not just training your body when you practice though, you're also training your mind. And in iRacing, mental preparation can be the difference between a podium and a crash. Here are a few tools to consider. Visualization. Before you race, close your eyes and mentally drive the perfect lap. Feel the braking points, the throttle picks, the apexes. Top athletes across all sports use visualizations to prime their nervous systems for peak performance. What about breathing techniques? Feeling tense, inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 6 counts, repeat it 3 to 5 times before a race start. It calms nerves and sharpens your focus. And what about resetting after crashes? Bad incident, pause, get up, stretch, drink water, don't immediately jump back in. Reset your emotions before you risk compounding mistakes. Training your mental game is just as crucial as training your hands and feet. And we touched about diet and physical exercise on the first part of today's podcast. But really, it's physical health that fuels mental performance. And nowhere is it more obvious than in a sim racing. In a sim race. Exercise isn't just about fitness, it's about mental clarity, reaction times, emotional control and stamina. 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, whether it's running, cycling or even brisk walking, boosts blood flow to the brain, releasing feel-good chemicals like endorphins and sharpening focus. Strength training, as we touched on earlier as well, yoga or flexibility work also helps. A stronger core and back reduce fatigue in long races. Better posture means better breathing and better reactions. Even a simple stretching routine before you sit in your rig can make a noticeable difference. And don't forget about diet. A heavy junk food meal can leave you sluggish, tired and prone to brain fog. High sugar snacks spike your energy and then crash it, usually right when you need to focus most. Instead, fuel your practice with clean foods like complex carbs, oats, rice, sweet potatoes for stable energy. Lean proteins like chicken, fish, beans to repair your body. Healthy fats like nuts and avocados to boost brain health. And don't forget to stay hydrated, drink lots of water. When you nourish your body, your mind becomes sharper, a steadier weapon, perfect for intense practice and racing. Well, how do we get all this to tie together, folks? Imagine you have an important league race or official event coming up on Sunday. Your week could look like this. Monday, learn the track layout and focus on clean lines. Tuesday, drill your braking points and car balance. Wednesday, focus qualifying runs, chasing clean fast laps. Thursday, practice and race starts and overtaking against AI. Friday, full race simulation at the same time of day as your real race. Saturday, light driving and replay review. Sunday, game day. Warm up, visualize success, stay calm and execute. By approaching your practice like a professional athlete, you'll separate yourself from 95% of casual iRacers, and more importantly, you'll build lasting skills that compound over time. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Lone Road iRacers podcast, listeners and viewers. Remember, talent is great, but smart, consistent practice is how champions are made. If you enjoyed this deep dive into building a training regime, let us know. Share this episode with your teammates and stay tuned for more strategies to help become the best driver you can be. And don't forget, if you're having some real mental struggles with iRacing and it's affecting you, drop the show an email as well. You know, there's no reason we can't talk about specific problems some of our listeners and viewers are having, and as a whole, i.e. all the podcast family, we can help support that individual as well. We won't mention anybody's name, but we'll go through their problem and we can talk openly about how we can improve, and other people also might be affected by that same kind of phenomena that is causing that individual some mental fatigue. Thanks for listening. I've enjoyed today's podcast. I hope you have. Don't forget to leave likes and some comments and share it with your fellow listeners and viewers. Anybody wants to be a host, please drop me a line also. And any topics you would also like us to pick up, also please drop me an email. Find us on social media and on Facebook. Until then, folks, happy iRacing, and I'll see you on the track soon.